let's finish off our rollover effect here. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and create another symbol here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the more text here inside the layout. So this is, again, all the way back out on scene 1, right? The outermost layer, if you will, of the flash animation. Grab this guy. That's just text, right? It's not a button yet. So grab that, hold down Shift, grab the white arrow just next door to him there, and let's convert this to a symbol. So up to the Modify menu and then down to Convert to Symbol. You can name this whatever you like here. I'm going to call this more underscore BUT. And this is going to be a button for the symbol type, right? There we go. Go ahead and click on OK. All right. Now, I'm going to flip into the library panel, and there's our More button, again, sitting down towards the bottom of the list of objects that we have inside the library panel. Go ahead and double-click on them, and that'll get us into the new button symbol. And once again, I'm going to assume that you've created button symbols before. So again, this isn't really an introductory to button symbols and how they work and all this good stuff. But of course, I'm sure that you know about your 4 frames across the top on the timeline. So we have up, over, down, and hit, right? So let's go and set those frames. So this is what I usually do. This is, I guess, maybe Jeff's down and dirty way for setting up the 4 frames. Oftentimes, 9 times out of 10, I want all 4 frames to be almost identical, right? Sometimes I'll change a color or sometimes I'll move an object or something like this. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop my cursor into the over frame. I'm going to hit F6 on my keyboard. That copies the contents from the previous keyframe into the current frame. And I'm basically going to repeat that for the other 2. So click inside down and then F6 and then into hit and then F6 as well. Okay, easy stuff. Now, usually it's the overframe that I pay the most attention to because that's where the rollover effect is going to happen, right? So the overframe, of course, is going to control how our button appears when the user rolls their mouse over the button, right? So again, usually it's some kind of a simple change. Now, what I've decided to do is I want to change the color of the text. I want the text to change again to that light blue color, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click inside my text. I'm going to select all of my characters. And again, unfortunately, we don't have that light blue swatch saved. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head up to the window menu and then down to color. So window color. And let's go and set our RGB values here. So remember our values from the previous exercise, right? So red is going to be 98. And green, if I click inside there, is going to be 163. And our blue value, I'm looking at my cheat notes here, is 214. Perfect. Make sure that your alpha, your tint, is set to 100% there. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to go back to my black arrow tool. There we are. That's the color that we want for the rollover, right? Now, the other thing that I want to do is I want to replace the white arrow graphic symbol with the white arrow rollover movie clip that you and I just created in the previous exercise, right? So what I'm going to do here is head back over to the library. I'm going to grab my movie clip symbol here, the white arrow rollover, drop this guy onto the stage. Now, there's a couple of different ways to pull this off. What I want to do is I want to make sure that this movie clip symbol is lined up perfectly with the graphic symbol that we already have there. And of course, the graphic symbol, we want to get rid of them, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on these guys. This is a bit of a cheat here, but anyway, I'm just going to kind of visually line it up, something like that. And of course, I know that the movie clip symbol, the newest symbol, is on top of the older graphic symbol, right? So I've lined it all up. That's great. I'm going to cut them, Command X or Control X. I'm going to grab the graphic symbol that's sitting there, delete them, and then Flash has an awesome command here. I think it's awesome. It's simple, but it's awesome. It's really powerful. Underneath the Edit menu, not just a regular old paste, but we have paste in place. And there's your keyboard shortcut for you, Command-Shift-V or Control-Shift-V. So in other words, paste this guy in the exact same X and Y coordinates that he was copied from, right? So again, that's sort of my little down and dirty trick. Anyway, for pulling this stuff off. Okay, I think we're good here. Let's go ahead and save our movie. We should change our stage's background color again. So again, make sure you don't have anything selected on your stage. Flip into your properties and go ahead and change your stage color. Let's go and see if this works. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to head up to the control menu and then down to test movie and then down to test, or command enter or control enter if you wish. And let's see what we get here. We just have to wait for our SWF to export here. Might take a second. Okay, there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try moving my mouse over top of this guy. Perfect. Okay, so he's working there, but notice how he keeps playing over and over and over again. So what we actually need to do is we need to put a stop action into our movie clip symbol. So here's what I'm going to do. He's almost there. We're really close here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close out of this guy. We got an output error there too. Maybe we'll try and address that later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the library panel. I'm going to look for my white arrow rollover movie clip. Let's go and pop into this fella here. And what we need to do is we need to put a stop action in the last frame of this movie clip. So in other words, we don't want the movie clip to play over and over and over again in a loop. We want it to play once and stop, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if you've done much of this type of work here inside Flash or not, but I'm going to drop my cursor into the last frame on the timeline there. I'm going to head to the window menu and then look for actions and wait for my actions palette to show up. And I'm simply going to type in a stop command. So stop and then open parentheses, close parentheses, followed by a semicolon. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's save things up. I'm going to close out of the actions panel and let's try testing this guy again. So try hitting Control Enter, or here on the Mac, I'm going to hit Command Enter, and we'll try and test this movie again. And now it should only play once. So let's see what we get. There, perfect. That's exactly what we wanted, right? Awesome stuff. So it works. And again, it's just a nice, simple, tasteful rollover. I didn't want to do anything too insane or too crazy here. So it looks good. But there's one final thing that I want to point out here for you, and I see this a lot when people are messing around with creating buttons and creating rollover effects and things like this, is it works great when the user moves their mouse over top of the text, right? Or it would work fine if the user moved their mouse over top of the arrow. That's great. But if they move their cursor between the two, it doesn't work. Do you know what that's all about? Do you know what's going on there? Do you know about the hit frame inside a button? If you don't, what the hit frame does, that last frame inside a button symbol, is it controls, I guess you could say, the hotspot, or the active area of the button, if you will. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and fix this real quick here. So I'm going to close out of this preview. And let's see, inside the library panel, I'm going to have to go and find my More button, double click on him. And inside the timeline, it's the hit frame that I want. And I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit here. And again, it's a little tough to see what's going on if you have that white background for your stage. So it might be a little helpful to change that background color. Okay, so if you don't know about this, here's the deal. The up frame is controlling how the button looks when there's no interactivity happening. Over is when there's a rollover. Down is when the user clicks down. The hit frame is sort of the odd guy out. What he does is, again, he's controlling that active area. And I see this all the time. Lots of developers, lots of Flash developers would leave a hit frame just like this, meaning that the actual shape of the letters and the content on this frame determines the clickable area, right? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and I'm simply going to drag out a rectangle, something like this, which encompasses all of my content on that hit frame, right? And then I'm going to grab my black arrow tool, and I'm going to toast the text more, and I'm also going to toast the white arrow. I don't want them on there. I'm going to grab this symbol, and I've actually decided to make this guy a little bit bigger. So I'm going to use my free transform, and I'm just going to scale this guy up just a little bit. Just make him a little bit bigger, something like this, right? So again, this is controlling the hotspot or the active area inside the button. You can make it as large or as small as you want. It's entirely up to you. And the cool thing here is the end user is not going to see this frame, so it doesn't matter if you use rainbow stripes or hot pink or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, controller command enter. Let's go and test this out here. See what we have. Okay, there's our layout. I went and forgot to change my stage color. I'll do that in a second, but check this out. So if I move my mouse over top of more, no problem. I'm not seeing that rectangle, right? But now if I move my cursor between the two, it still activates that button because I'm moving my cursor over top of this rectangle inside the hit frame. That's how that works. So if you didn't know about this, that's the deal. That's what's going on. Okay, I'm going to close out of this guy. Back to scene 1, back to the timeline. In fact, I think I'll collapse down my timeline. And, we should change our stage background color. Let's go and do that real quick. And, of course, don't forget to save up the works there inside your layout as well. So there you go. There's that nice, simple, tasteful rollover effect.